river revitalization. No one wants to live in a concrete jungle. This is why Hong Kong and Singapore have been working towards ridding the phenomenon. The idea of environmentalism has gained popularity in recent years as a means of not only combating global warming, but also enhancing the quality of life. One strategy that the governments are employing to integrate nature with the community is river revitalization. It provides the practical benefit of strengthening the water drainage system, in addition to enhancing the community environment and connectivity. Today, we will dive into two projects that are completed in Hong Kong and Singapore. By studying their backgrounds, aims, and results, we'll be able to understand more about the wonders of river revitalization. Can you imagine the stench of sewage blowing in your face on a daily basis when you commute? Residents near Kai Tak Nola experienced this back in the 1920s. When the reclamation and buildings of Kai Tak Bund residential district was completed, the government connected the neighboring natural streams to Kai Tak Nola, which extends to the sea. The Nola's concrete lining served as a reliable path for the drainage of rainwater. In the 1960s and 70s, wastewater and untreated sewage were discharged directly into the Nola and created pollution. These activities led to poor water quality, which not only made the Nola smell worse, but also ruined its aesthetics. Fast forward to the 1990s, the Hong Kong government implemented a number of steps to enhance the water quality. These included building dry water flow interceptors and transferring treated effluent from Sha Tin and Tai Po sewage treatment facilities to the Nola for continual flushing. After frequent flooding occurrences from 2006 to 2015 on Choi Hung Road, the Kai Tak Nola was due to make capacity improvements so as to make it one of the main flood relief drainage systems in the East Kowloon region. The works began in 2011 and was completed in 2018. The Hong Kong government took advantage of the chance to turn the Nola into a Kai Tak River, an urban green river corridor with aquatic and plant life. To boost the river's biodiversity, distinctive design elements were added, such as artificial rock planters that were concealed with soil pockets to foster plant growth along the riverbank, and that also served to conceal the sewage drainage system. In order to create a realistic river effect without obstructing the flow of rainwater, submerged planting was added along the sides and the edges of the river, which could also provide potential habitat for young fish and amphibians. To beautify the surrounding environment and create thematic scenes along the river, road-sized planters are created. Fish shelters and flow deflectors were added to the river to create fluctuations in the direction and speed of the flow that can serve as a refuge for fish. At Prince Edward Road East, a box culvert is built to boost drainage capacity. The key challenges of the river's construction is the public objections and the compromising of urban usage. Residents were inclined to just cover the Nola due to the odor and to provide more land and resources for traffic and buildings. The second challenge was limited space. Underground utilities restricted the flow of the river and the population needs limited the widening of the river. A nearby park, Moores Park, underwent beautification works. Old banyan trees and part of the monastery wall were conserved. After revitalization, biodiversity is enhanced as there are more habitats. Out of the 6 residents that we had interviewed, it is also observed that illegal fishing, fish and bird feeding are done on the riversides and footbridges. Flying us across to Singapore, the Kai Lang River Bishan Am Mo Keo Park. In the 1970s, the government wanted to promote the effective transportation of rainwater and prevent flooding. Kallang River was then transformed into a concrete canal for a natural water system. In 2006, the Active, Beautiful and Clean Waters program was started to transform the nation's network of drainage system into streams, rivers and lakes that were integrated with the surrounding land development. Kallang River had its grand opening in 2012. Other than improving the water drainage system, the revitalization has the objectives of transforming the nation's water bodies into new venues for social interactions. The ABC Waters program provides chances for individuals to enjoy and bond with water by bringing them closer to it. Additionally, it is intended to renovate the park, which entails converting the functional concrete channel into a naturalized river and building a new urban river park. Though the bottom of the river is still paved with concrete to ensure the effectiveness of water drainage, the project overall view went into the direction of involving as much nature as possible, such that the river's bank were created under using recycled materials and soft bed. The bottom of the river is built by using demolished concrete from the original channel. It is lined with a layer of soil to create a natural aesthetic. Designs are very people-oriented. Many natural elements such as rocks and wetlands were used to build the walking path in the park and guide visitors into the water, so to boost people's connection with water and nature. Bioengineering and bioremediation is also utilized. This refers to the using of unique characteristics of natural resources to adhere to the needs of strengthening the slope, mosquito repelling, etc. The park underwent some safety challenges regarding the people's interaction with water. There are safety concerns of flash floods and risk with the interaction. Professionals need to decide on whether a barrier is needed to separate the water from the lawn. A river warning system and a monitoring system is set up later on. The project improved not only the channel, but the surrounding environment of the park. 3 playgrounds, a restaurant, a local point, and lots of fresh green spaces were created. In terms of landscape, more natural elements were added back into the area. The project utilized native plants and natural elements. Professionals believe that the park's renovation appears to have been a success in terms of creating a nature recreational hub in the city that also educates people, and also on its usage of bioengineering and bioremediation. However, professionals believe that there can be more involvement of the public during the design process and the reduction of lawns to increase more natural elements. Most members of the public are pleased with the project. They enjoy being close to the nature and the animals that the project attracted. Locals especially express their appreciation of the stepping stones placed in the river. Daily activities such as exercising, strolling, walking the pets, eating and so on are carried out in the park. The park has grown up to be an essential component of the neighborhood. The differences of the two projects were brought by the government's distinctive attitudes toward development. For the Hong Kong government, they were reserved and nervous towards risks. As a result, they are very cautious in implementing new design strategies. For the Singapore government, they are less risk-averse and have a bigger ambition in embracing and designing with nature. Resultantly, they are willing to experiment with new design strategies utilizing nature as a foundation for design. Therefore, we believe Hong Kong uses spatial limitations as an excuse to limit the developmental scale and function, whereas in Singapore, they believe flooding is a part of life, and instead of avoiding the hazard, they learn to live with it. Attitudinal differences influence objective, materiality, and public engagement. In Kailang River, the importance of greenery and flood alleviation is of equal significance, while in Kai Tak River, flood prevention has a higher priority. Singapore's ambition is to become a city of gardens and water. With the incorporations of the ABC's water program, their mission is to seek to transform our waterways and reservoirs beyond their utilitarian function into focal points for recreational and community activities. The Hong Kong government implemented the River in the City initiative in 2019. Emphasis is placed on the river's usefulness in combating the flood problem by expanding its capacity, such that including green components becomes an optional part of the project. In terms of public engagement, the two projects have differences in their reach since the risk-taking level of the two governments are very different. To tackle the safety concerns of flooding, Kailang River has a more comprehensive river monitoring and warning system than the Kai Tak River. During rainstorm seasons, people are informed to move away from water to the higher ground with an implementation of water level sensors, warning lights, sirens, and audio announcements, etc. However, the Hong Kong government will circumvent any safety issues that may arise from close interaction with the water. Therefore, public participation in Kai Tak River is very restricted compared to that of the Kailang River. Kai Tak River is off limits to the general public, except for having local points on the footbridges, while Kailang River is open to the public with a wide range of sports facilities provision. Materiality is different in both projects. In Kai Tak River, to ensure effective water drainage, the government uses man-made materials such as concrete for the river channel and artificial rocks, while in the Kailang River uses soil bioengineering, which deploys plants, natural materials such as rocks, and engineering techniques for river embankment stabilization and erosion control. The Hong Kong government is reluctant towards breaking boundaries and confined to tradition and land planning. On the bright side, it encourages the government to preserve history and culture, such as the old banyan trees and the 100 meters of the Monastery Wall. However, it projects a negative impact of a clear division between the river and the neighborhood in the Kai Tak River. Whereas in the Kailang River, the government rebuilt the river into a meandering form. The combination of the park and the river allowed the community interaction that engages people and fosters a sense of communal ownership. We can also acknowledge differences in designs, as the two projects were led by engineers and landscape architects respectively. For the Kai Tak River, the main focus of the design was put on making the drainage efficient and how to minimize disruption to the neighboring areas. The engineers also need to deal with the lack of space in Hong Kong. For Kailang River, the landscape architects believe in the power of nature and how it can be resilient. Thus, vegetation was largely incorporated in the project. The new, soft, beautiful river landscape engages people and fosters a sense of communal ownership of the river. Instead of fencing, distance, and fear, The project brings water closer to the people. It is their place, their park, their river, something to enjoy and worth taking care of. What intrigued you most?
The Kyla River project has been effective in converting a water drainage system into a park where locals enjoy gathering. The opportunity to interact with water in an urban setting was interesting enough that it's able to draw visitors who don't even live in the area. The wide range of activities and facilities allow people of different backgrounds and age groups to completely enjoy the project, which is much beyond the aesthetics. We also know what it means to achieve real biodiversity. The presence of fish and birds in the Kaito River does not necessarily imply that the region is biodiverse. Building an environment where the species and creatures can cooperate to keep things in balance and support life is what creates biodiversity. In comparison, the Kaito River scale of achieving biodiversity is greater. A small ecosystem was created and there's a lot of natural habitats provided.
What did you learn? Technologically, it is admirable to see from the Kaito project the emphasis is placed on conserving the past and the original environment. To build a project that can serve the public completely, we need to preserve the shared memories and create design with practical elements that can complement the heritage. It is of the same importance that we learn how to compensate for the lack of space in Hong Kong. The idea of developing and putting utilities underground like the box culvert in the Kaito River can not only achieve maximized drainage capacity and control velocity, but also release land space for urban usage. We also learned that to create a sense of public ownership, the public needs to feel involved in the design and planning. The Kyla River attracted a lot of public interest as residents felt relevant and linked into the renovation of the Kyla River because they were heavily involved in every step of the project, from design to construction to completion. As future landscape architect, it will be our turn to design a river revitalization project. We hope that will become an inspiration to other projects too.